So when I guide meditation, I usually am most of the time waiting to see what happens, what kind of meditation happens to me, and then I start to guide. But you can do the same thing. You can sit there and wait to see what meditation arises for you. You see, true meditation is uncontrolled in a way. And it doesn't mean that when we meditate in a controlled way, we're not doing something of benefit. We are. We're learning to control less, even in our controlled meditations. But you can always sit down and just start by waiting to see what meditation has to offer you today. But when you wait, you have to ask yourself, you have to know what you're waiting for. So you're waiting for meditation. You're not waiting for the mind to tell you a story. You're not waiting for your emotions to tell you a story about the world. You're not waiting for the external world to drop some interesting factoid into your life or the winning lottery numbers or a magical bird. You're waiting for meditation. Now, all those things I just mentioned are part of meditation. They can be inside of the meditation. But they are immediately kind of let go of. They are not sticky. So when we wait to see what our meditation brings, it might include a set of experiences, mental, emotional, physical, sensory experiences. But when we're waiting for meditation, we're waiting at the sort of most gross level for attention to see what attention is like. And at the most subtle level, we're waiting to see maybe the in-between level, we're waiting to see what our awareness is like. And at the most subtle level, we're waiting to see what our being is like. We're waiting to see what presence feels like. What does it feel like to be present right now? What does the now feel like? What is the experience of the now? We're waiting for the present moment to arrive. Of course, it's already here, but we're waiting to recognize it. And moment is a bad word, actually. We're just waiting for presence, for the present with a capital P, which is always here. The present moment is like attention. It's a less subtle version of what we're really waiting for. To put this another way, we're waiting for ourselves to arise and arrive. And that's what I do in meditation. That's what I do when I guide meditation. That's what I do when I sit in meditation. I wait to see how I am here today. No, I've done this for years, so that I don't even need patience anymore because it happens relatively quickly, and I also just know it's there. But the practice does re waiting in general requires patience. This line from Siddhartha that's always stuck with me, I think I've mentioned it before. He's been meditating for years and years and years. And he's gone very, very far, but he realizes for some reason that he needs to go live in the world and be a worldly person to make any more progress spiritually. So he goes to, I think it's a woman at the time, and who works in the world of business, and he's looking for a job or something like that. She says she's busy, and he says, well, and she says, what skills do you have? And he says, I'm very good at waiting. He's a master of waiting. And so we can deduce that that means essentially that the practice of meditation gives you the skill of being a master of waiting. In some simple ways, it makes you patient. You're not always reaching for the future or the past, so you can sit there calmly. But there's a sort of another way of thinking of this. Waiting is the surrender of control. You're waiting for something outside to come into you, into your presence, into your present experience. Now, that can be a very mental, ego-driven thing when you're waiting, anticipating, expecting. Okay, but that's not what we're doing. We're just pure waiting. It's pure waiting. And even when you arrive, when the beingness arrives, even when your meditation arrives, you keep on waiting to see, to be in the next moment or the unfoldingness of your being. So what does it mean to not be waiting? Well, say that someone, you're waiting for someone to call you and you just keep texting them and calling them. Maybe you drive over to their house, right? That's not waiting, right? Is the attempt to bring the thing you're waiting for to you actively. So if I tell you that if you wait with pure intention, if you wait purely, clean, empty waiting, what you are waiting for will immediately be present. That which you've been waiting for your whole life with your deepest being, the most fundamental and important thing that you've been waiting for, whether you consciously know it or not. The second you truly wait, that is, you stop texting, you stop calling, you stop driving around looking for the person who's supposed to just show up at your house. The second you really put all your attempts down, that which you're waiting for arrives. Now, of course, the only way that could possibly be is because what you're waiting for was already here. And so, what does a master of waiting feel? A master of waiting has this experience of this present moment being okay forever. That is, if I had to sit here forever, if nothing were going to change, I'd be okay. And see, when we go into pure waiting, we have stopped any judgment, any internal movement to fix or change the present moment. And we can learn to get very resilient and have a mental equanimity with our life. But you know there's deeper to go if you're not okay with the present moment as it is forever. Now, I always have to be careful here because the life of spirituality is a very active life. So you get to do things and change things and make things. But you have to get in touch with your true self. And you only find that because the true self is fine with the way everything is. And the way everything isn't, by the way. It's also fine with the way everything isn't. And so when we really are waiting, when we're a master of waiting, I always picture Siddhartha sitting on kind of a stone bench in a kind of ancient city. There's maybe a little bit of traffic, foot traffic going by. He's totally out of his element. He's been a monk for years and years, and so he doesn't know anything about city life, what's proper or what's not proper, what's safe or what's not safe. He doesn't know. but he's 100% there and he could be there forever. So you might think that that requires that to be a good master of waiting requires you to shut down all your resistance to the present moment. But that would be backwards. You're waiting for the arrival of waiting. You're waiting for the arrival of your pure self, which is going to be a master of waiting. And so, what that means is when you notice that you are not happy with the present moment, that you are wanting to change it, that you are not comfortable staying where you are forever, that you need things to arrive sooner than they might be arriving, you just wait to see who, what is behind that desire, that need. You wait to see where attention goes next, and then you wait to see what happens in awareness next, and then you wait to see what it's like to be there. And you just keep waiting as these mental, emotional, physical, sensory things. Siddhartha's mind might have been, noted, his body might have been uncomfortable on the stone bench. And so the body might have wanted to move. He might have had nervousness in his chest because he's in a city, doesn't know where he is. His mind might have said, I don't know if this person's really going to help me. Maybe we should try somebody else. But because he was in pure waiting, he could allow those things and still be this fictional character I'm describing. We almost never wait anymore because we always got our phones with us. And so we can fill any space where what's not supposed to, where what we want isn't there, we can fill it with something else we want. But people used to get little doses of meditation. They didn't even know it by waiting in line, by waiting at a bus stop. And naturally, we are in our probably in our evolutionary history, there's just massive amounts of waiting, waiting in nature, waiting for the hunted animal to arrive, waiting for the rain to stop, waiting for the daylight to crack. And our mind was like, well, we don't, we could get so much more done if we stopped waiting around. And it was totally right. But getting things done is not the same as happiness or truth.
Chris, you're muted.
Thank you. You automatically muted me. I was speaking to the movie experience where they show time passing very quickly by showing the sun revolving in the sky or the stars rotating. And then the main character is sort of in the center, just sort of sitting still while everything is passing around them, right? And what you realize the second you touch in with your true self, it becomes this retroactive awareness that this is that's always been happening. That there is a that at your true center, the true center of your being, is this stillness in which everything else has just been revolving around. Everything, even the best and worst things in life. Okay, so you wait for meditation to begin, and then you wait again and again and again. And as we come out of the meditation, we just know that there's this part of us that's just waiting to be recognized all day long. That's it's just sitting there waiting patiently without true waiting. Doesn't require anything of you, and it's there to be recognized. And so all awakening is the awakeness to this patient core, this infinitely patient being. And I could sort of wait here for a long while, but we have to move on to the next part of the meditation. And so you let your body move how it wants to move because movement and thought and emotion is no actual, not fundamentally, any obstacle. I don't know why it keeps kicking me off, but all right, that's the done with the meditation.